Good morning, everyone. This is GV Ganesh, and it's my honor to welcome you to another round of Reflections, our podcast series, which we do in RSWB during the course of the season. For those of you who have not been a part of or have not listened to any of these Reflection series podcasts before, just to give you a quick background, we do this about 5 to 6 of these series every season, and we invite runners who have been a part of RSWB in the past or past seasons, or we also bring in some external experts either in nutrition or running or any of those backgrounds to share their experiences with all of us. And it's a lot of fun to hear what the journey that they have gone through. So today, it's 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 my honor to introduce three very special runners who have been with us for a few seasons. And usually when we bring together these runners, we have some common theme or characteristic as to why they've been brought together, and most of the times we talk about it upfront. This time around, I'm just going to make it a bit interesting, and let's see whether the common theme evolves as we have this conversation. So without any further ado, I'm going to request my speakers to introduce themselves. Over to the first speaker. Please go ahead.
Thank you, GV. Pleasure to be here. And hello, everyone. My name is Sid Sakadande. I am based out of Robbinsville, New Jersey. I've been with RSWB for 6 seasons now. This is my sixth season, which is ongoing. First season was all about half marathon, but then I switched to full marathons, and then I've been doing four marathons, one marathon each season. On the personal side, I'm married. I have a 15-year-old daughter who is currently in high school. Wife is a homemaker. On the professional side, I work with a firm called Emphasis. I'm one of the director of sales over there, and that's about me. Back to you, GV.
Yeah, so Sid, tell us a bit about how when you start running and what brought you into RSWB. It seems you've been here since
Sure.
nine.
Okay, so quick background. I am actually a pro table tennis player. I have played nationals back in India. So
Wow.
that's where the first heart is. So while I play at a local club run by a US Olympian, and obviously with age, your endurance level goes down, right? So he recommended that I start doing cardio. That's where my running journey began. It all started with bringing in the effort towards maximizing my stamina while table tennis. But now table tennis is put on one side, running has become the first love. So that's primarily how my running journey began.
And how do you get into RSWB in particular?
RSWB, so I have quite a few colleagues who are part of RSWB. Yogesh Kohli, who's been with RSWB for many years, he kind of recommended me, and I've been part of RSWB with his referral.
Okay, wonderful. Welcome, Sid. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you,
Can't
GB.
can't dare to pick up a racket and play with you, but I will try it next time when I'm in New Jersey.
Sure thing.
But probably somebody didn't tell you that once you get into RSW and running, everything else takes a back seat. Probably so did your
That's what
table
has
tennis.
happened. That's what has happened now.
Okay, wonderful. Glad to have you here. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, all, and good evening. This is Naresh Sid. I'm from Prosper, Texas. It's a suburb of Dallas, and my wife Nilima and I have two kids. My daughter is in 12th grade right now. Her name is Vanchika, and my son is in 7th grade. His name is Sriram. And professionally, I'm senior manager for architecture team, and it's I work for a company called Value Momentum, and we actually are solution partners for guideware implementation. And for me, from childhood, I have been in sports mostly. I used to play all. It's like I'm master of none, but jack of all. It's like I play all sort of games. So I have been running, and due to COVID, I have put on weight, and I wanted to start again a journey wherein I can improve on my fitness. And I tried on my own, but it did not work out. And I wanted to have something which can help me out in an organized manner. And so Tulasi Uppala, who is one of our family friends, I think she came to know about RHWB and she came to know from a person named Sujata. She's wife of one of our coach, Ajay Jadhav. And through them, we came to know about RHWB. And 2022 July was my first season. I have been, since then, I did not drop a single season. I continued every season, and I improved on my fitness every season from then on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, I think glad to have you here, Naresh. I think it's amazing, and So you played multiple sports and then you kind of started picking up, got into running to get back your fitness. Again, I mean, obviously I know you personally as well, part of the Dallas running community, and of course, thanks for all the help that you do in organizing our race days. But I want to give a shout out to Vanshika in particular. She's an amazing photographer. She does photography for our race days here. So good luck to her. You said she's in 12th, probably she's getting to college soon. Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank you.
having you here, Naresh.
Thank you, GV. Thanks for bringing up Vanshika's name again. It's like we were talking, and she finally got into UT Austin. She got
Wonderful,
selected. So
wonderful. Congratulations. That's awesome.
thank you.
Great to know that. Okay, yeah. Let's go to the next speaker, please.
Hi, JV. Thanks for this opportunity and hello everyone. Good morning, good evening. This is Vijee. I'm also based out of Prosper, Texas. Here, been in US for about 12th year now, and kind of I joined running and RHWB at the same time as a newbie into RHWB. So I joined around December 2023, I think it was season 11. Thanks to Naresh, who's on this call, and he's my cricket buddy as well, one of his many sports which he plays, right? So we used to play cricket very regularly. And I was looking for something more engagement on a fitness side, being on the wrong side of the 40. That's where it was an opportunity which I took up with both my hands, join running as well as join RHWB. Now, on the personal side, I have, two daughters. My wife is a homemaker as well, and I have a 14-year-old in ninth grade, and then a 5-year-old in kindergarten. So a long way to go.
Wonderful. And where do you work?
I work for Infosys, so I'm senior manager heading on the client relationship side.
Okay, wonderful. Great story, right? I think interesting to see that all three of you have a sporting background, right? When you played some sports, there are many runners here who are starting their physical activity primarily through RSWB, but doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter what you pursue, still running gives you something, either it's more cardio or goal to reduce your weight or trying to say cricket is too boring and I need to do something more active. Okay, now that's really nice to kind of see that background of folks who have been a part of something. But Vijay, one thing I picked on what you said you are on the wrong side of 40. I say I am on the right side of 50. But nevertheless, but I think I'm glad you all picked to stay with RSWB, and each of you seem to have done at least 4 seasons, if not more. So can't wait to unpack your experiences and learn from that. So let's talk about this again. Across these seasons, you had some rigorous training, and how was your experience in doing it? Were you something that you pursued with like 100% effort, or something that it was on and off? Just want to hear your experience and what are some of the highlights of those. Maybe we'll start with Sid.
Sure. So, GV, I think the overall RSWB experience has been fantastic, right? I'm so glad that I'm part of it. And firstly, thanks to all of you, Coach Bala and others, for institutionalizing this platform, which has transformed so many lives, including myself. So, talking about training in general, I think the best part about RSWB, it is so organized, right? There's an app where depending on the distance that you want to run, right, that depending on the pacing goals that you have, right, there is a very tailor-made context plan that is set up for each one of us. And then there's a coach who's monitoring, right, how good or bad you're doing. There is course correction that is happening every run. There is proper feedback that is provided, right? And personally, I think that has helped me score a personal best each race after race, right? So I think the best part about RSWB is the organized structure and the discipline and the commitment that the group is, brought in.
Great. Thanks for acknowledging that and sharing that feedback. Really appreciate that. But how was your training? I mean, were you an individual who were right off the bat, were able to stick to that schedule, or you struggled with something,
Sure.
got better at it?
So
Yeah.
first season was pretty much, as I mentioned, it was all about doing half marathon. So I was doing whatever I could, but obviously I was trying to juggle between work commitments and running. But still, I did the best I could, right? But when I switched to a marathon training, right, which is my second season with RSWB, that's when I noticed a paradigm shift, right? Obviously, training for a marathon requires training for longer hours, right? Running longer miles and things like that. Right? You got to build your endurance.
Of course. Yeah.
So when I started, and then obviously my coach is Manoj, who is my inspiration, who is my guiding post at all times. He kind of looking at my running history, he said you could target for a sub 430, right? And then I thought that's like an astronomical goal, but let's go after it, right? He said I'll define a plan for you, which is a little bit aggressive, but I know you can do it. So I totally jumped into it, right? And first 2 3 weeks was living hell, literally, because that plan entails running 6 out of 7 days. It was a different kind of plan, which is based on cumulative fatigue. So the first 2 3 weeks were like living hell. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? But then the body started getting accustomed to it, right? And then I just went on with it. And first marathon was 4:14. So thanks to Coach Manoj, he brought in extremely, while the plan may seem to be aggressive at the beginning, but it yielded results towards the end.
Awesome. Glad to hear that you had a bit of a challenge to start with, but you stuck to it. But one real nugget I see, which I'm also picking up, is that your whole process got better when you did full marathon over half marathon. There are many people, including me, who don't pick full marathon because of the time commitment required to do that. But also it has its way of making sure that you are able to stick to it and obviously reap the benefits. And of course, I can't say enough about the coaches who really give a lot of their time and commitment to make this organization work. But of course, Coach Manoj, if you have a Boston Marathon goal, of course he's the coach to work with. Thank you, sir,
Absolutely.
for that. Yeah, Vijay, go ahead. What are your experiences from a training standpoint?
So yeah, I think on the personal side, right? One of the key decisions, and I believe that's important, is to make fitness your priority, right? Because in the amidst all the work pressure and the personal commitments we tend to do, I think it comes up saying that okay, can it go down the pecking order? But I think that's a personal decision which I took when I started with RSWB. As just said, the whole structured way of going about it is something which I really liked, because I've tried my hand at going to gym, playing badminton, trying to do regular stuff, but never was successful in doing so because there was no structure to it. But RHWB gave a structure. Now it was your a personal onus to make sure that you follow that structure to the T, and that's what I've been doing for all the 5 seasons I've been with. Now, while following consistently is one key, prioritization and consistency. The second thing is listen to your body, whether you are able to do it. So what happened with me was I signed up for immediately when I started. My goal was, okay, I want to do it under an hour. Half marathon, you want to do it under 2 hours. So I signed up for speed program, right?
Okay.
And it was very tough. Initial 2 3 weeks, every part of your body was crying
All right.
that you have to slow down. But I did finish that season, but then I decided to go saying that I need to not push my body because this is for long term. This is not a short term thing. So I switched to the experience program, which slightly became, it's still for, it still gives you a lot of mileage and a lot of things. It's just that you are a little bit less stressful. So I switched to the experience program for last 2 or 3 seasons. I'm still able to meet my speed
Goal.
goals with the experience program, but it's just that the fact that you listen to your body, you adjust. And I think one big key flexibility here, I mean flexibility which whole RSWP gives is, while you have Monday to Saturday your activities, you don't need to stick to do them on the same day. Based on your professional personal commitments, you can move around things and do them over the week, is something key which I've been following. And then the other critical thing is your coaches are always, so my coach, I mean in general, I think all the coaches lead by example. RSWB is superb in that sense. And my own coach, he's very like Coach Watts. He's very, in a sense, he treats us as, his own, kids in that sense, right? He'll give you feedback for every activity, and you just keep that feedback and keep adjusting and keep doing well. So I think that's the across seasons. I think my learning, I really like being in the structured mode. And GV, there are a lot of other platforms. When I talk to my circle, there are a lot of other platforms, a lot of other running clubs, right? People try to pull you into those running clubs, but with the advantages which I've seen with RHWB, it trumps everything else which I've seen in my circle.
No, wonderful. Glad to hear that. That again, just two things stood out for me in terms of what you were trying to say here. Is I think naturally many of us are kind of trying to do more, right? Like, hey, if there's speed, I think I can run already and I want to do that. Like what Sid said, yeah, I mean, I want to push the boundaries, but I think it's really important to listen to your body, as you said. I think that's a great nugget from what you're talking about, because there is pressures and we say that you have to stick to the routine, but the key thing is at the end of the day, all of this is a means to an end, to have a healthy body and a happy lifestyle. So, and to be able to do that, multiple factors need to come in, but ultimately you have to make the call whether to commit to do it or to slow down when your body is telling that here you need to slow down. I know Sid was talking about the first 2 weeks he had. I'm sure he had multiple conversations with the coach, and glad that you went through that and then you are able to kind of do what you achieved. Thank you for sharing the stories. Over to you, Naresh.
Yeah, thank you, GV. For me, so as I mentioned, I think I have been in sports, and I used to run on my own separately without any organized structural way. But after COVID, one day, I think when I was taking my son for a cricket training at that time, I had few friends over there who also said that they are also runners. So all of a sudden, after COVID hit us badly, all of us went through that, and my body state was, when I say body state, my fitness level was very, very bad, I should say. Without realizing that, I thought I can run. So one of my friend, he said, "Okay, kids are practicing there. Let us go for a run." And that's when, back in 2022, which is when after COVID, is when I first time started running. And suddenly, after half a mile, suddenly I could not even breathe. It's like I felt something is wrong. This is not me, is what I felt. So that's when I realized that I need to do something to gain my fitness back. So that's how I was talking to Tulasi and Raghu and Tulasi, who are my
Sure.
family friends. And so somehow Tulasi came to know about RHWB, and she referred me, and I immediately joined. And from July 2022 is when I started running again regularly. And initial first 1 or 2 seasons were really painful, frankly speaking. It was really, really painful. It's like because of COVID or because of my overweight, whatever might be the reasons, but I had a tough time going out to run. But I did not give up. I just wanted to improve on my fitness mainly. It's like as Vijay said, it's whatever is your priority, that should be your first task for your day, for your week or month. So I took fitness as my priority right now, and so at that moment, and from then on, I kept on going. As there are tough days, there are light, easy days, but still we try to maintain whatever is possible on those days. And so initial two seasons were really tough, as I mentioned. The main problem is after I finished my race days during those initial 1 or 2 seasons, it used to be like I come home, lay flat on my bed, I cannot even move. Those were really hard days. But I kept on continuing. And now, even after half marathon and doing PRs and half marathon, still I feel I have a lot of energy left in me for the whole day. The key over here, what I felt is it's the consistency, which made me come this far. And to get this far, it's all about the guidance from the people who already knew all these things, who are our coaches. So they have been, I had a privilege of being part of multiple coaches, under multiple coaches, including my first season was with Rakesh from India, and now it is Saurabh in the middle. We had Deepak and few other coaches as well. And right now it is Saurabh Pradhan, who is my coach. And this season I registered for full marathon. So this is going to be my full marathon season.
Wonderful, wonderful journey. I think you started with 10K, you did bunch of half marathons, and now you progressed to full marathon. If you think about it, the common pattern in each of this, as I started saying, again, this I'm talking to the runners. Many of you are probably picked up running for the first time, have not been active for the last 30 years. I'm just hypothesizing because family and life you would have been very, very busy with. And now you are just trying, half convinced whether you should even do it. I'm few weeks into the season. I know it's not going to be very easy. But the key thing is these three individuals, if you see, accomplished runners for more than 4 or 5 seasons, and they have done multiple distances, if you may. But the key here is they went through the same journey that you are going through. I think that's what I want you to take about. So, but the only one difference or one thing that they have done is stick with it. They made a choice either for health reasons or whether for say cardio reasons, right? They made a choice to stick with it even on good and bad days. And once you do that, the results automatically happen. And I think thanks for the feedback that you don't have to think, you just have to follow. I think that's one thing we have consistently heard in RSWB in terms of what works, and hopefully we'll continue to kind of evolve on that. And again, one more time, I want to give a shout out to the coaches. And I think glad that you have experienced these multiple coaches in your experience, Naresh. Again, they are the backbone of what RSWB is, and I can't thank them enough. Thank you, coaches. Great. So you've done these seasons, and of course, there's a long-term goal of health and playing better table tennis set when you get there, and so on and so forth. But there are obviously short-term goals in terms of there is a defined season, and the culmination of that is a race day. Okay, and of course we all have our goals. We think the day is going to happen in a particular way. So tell me a bit about any of the race days, or you can kind of pick some element of that and say how was your race day experience, whether it's a part of a RSWB race day or whether you did as a part of a particular organized marathon event, and what was across these races you have done one moment that stuck with you. Yeah, maybe this time we'll start with Vijee, please.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to think, right? I've done about 5 half marathon till date. The recent one, which I did in, Fort Worth in November and Dallas BMW in December, they were extremely cold days. Both those days turned out to be extremely cold days. I know
To
a
give
lot
some
of
character, again, cold is very relative, Vijay, because there are people from all over the world here. So maybe from Dallas standards, so some more color to that day. Like, how was that?
I know it was close to freezing when we were doing November 9th, which is, Fort Worth Marathon with wind and everything. It was freezing, around freezing temperature, which was unusual for a November first week temperatures. And we had to stand there for half an hour in those temperatures before the, marathon started. Similarly, in the Dallas, right, a lot of us went together there. I think it was in 20s that day with wind chill and everything, and it was very difficult to wait for your marathon, and then during the marathon, you warm up and stuff. I think that was good, but immediately you finished your marathon, my hands were completely numb. I couldn't stay out. I had to rush, into the hotel to find a warm place and whatnot. So it was, at least for Dallas folks, not something we are used to, and it was very challenging. But another experience I want to quote, which is my first half marathon season with RSWB. This was RSWB race. I was very stressed about it, saying that how will I do, whether I'll achieve my goal, what I've signed up for, whether I'll do under 2 hours. So a week before my long run, I converted that into let me complete this and get rid of this stress from myself. So I completed the half marathon under 2 hours. I did about 159 or so, and I was very relaxed. And I messaged my coach saying that, "Hey coach, thanks for your support. I'm done with my half marathon." And I remember I got on to call with you, GV and Surain, for the prep as well. And I was very happy that I'm done with my half marathon and I've ticked the box. But one important lesson I learned through all my coach works, as well as GV, yourself, and everybody else, told me that it's completing the race is not, completing the race on that race day is the mental toughness. It's not just the physical thing you go through the season, but it is also the mental preparedness, mental toughness, the ability to complete on the planned day, right? And rain or shine, whatever it may, you need to complete that day. So that was an important lesson from my first half marathon season itself. And that day turned out to be, again, for a Dallas weather, I think it was 8th December or so. It was raining, around freezing temperatures back then as well, right? And so I pushed myself. I was not happy that I have to do it second time within a week, but I went through it. It was, it was tough, in the sense that you got all wet, your shoes were wet, socks were wet. So, but still managed to achieve the, whatever my under 2 hours goal. But I was happy that I went through that experience. I learned the importance of a race day, and, and preparing yourself and delivering on that day is critical. So that's my personal experience there.
Amazing. First half marathon, and you did sub 2. Just for context, right? We all say that 1% of the world population runs. That itself is amazing. We are in this very small group of people who do it by choice. And doing sub 2 in a half marathon is a huge thing. Okay. And doing it for the first ever time, first race that you did It's unbelievable, Vijay. Thanks for that. But I want to pick on some of the points you made, but I'll do that after we kind of talk about everybody's experience. But Vijay, if you had to pick one moment that stuck with you across these race days, what would that be?
One moment, I mean,
Or
it's
experience
hard
or
to,
what you had, right? I may putting
finishing
you on a spot, but yeah, but you can. It'll be good to kind of carry that.
Yeah, I think finishing the race. I mean, one moment if you say finishing the race, that satisfaction that you have done what you set out for at the beginning of the season, come what may, you have delivered on your objectives and the goal. Every race, I think that's and what I've been trying GV to improve on that is because we push ourselves right through the season with these goals. My goal is also to be more and more comfortable while finishing these
Yes.
races. So how can you do it with a lower stress on your body? How can don't let your heart rate go to 180s,
Sure.
finish it, the ability. So I think that's so it's difficult for me to pick one
Sure.
instance, but the completing the race is the satisfaction which gives that you're culminating the season and now you're set to your next season, right? That's
Wonderful.
what I.
Great. Thanks for that. Yeah. Over to you, Naresh. About your race day experiences and the moment that stuck with you.
Yeah, sure, Rajiv. So race days, I think for half marathon, recently I started doing regular half marathons every month, once or one or something like that in the recent past. So with that, I think I registered for a Fort Worth half marathon along with Vijay, and after that Dallas half marathon in December. Fort Worth was November, and Houston also this January I registered. So three half marathons in 3 consecutive months.
Yeah.
For me also the challenging one was a Dallas marathon mainly. It was because of the temperatures, and race days are really, really tricky. It's like your mind plays a lot. And I have been hearing a lot about cold temperatures and all those. So I was prepared for 40 temperatures between 40 to 50 Fahrenheit, and but suddenly a week before, suddenly the temperatures came down, and the feels like was around 18 or 17 or something like that. And but one big mistake I did for Dallas Marathon was covering myself, over layering myself.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really hard to balance out how much layering you have to put on. So I went with because I have been reading a lot about those temperatures and all, and I definitely overdid it. So it was 3 layers and all, and within 1.5 mile itself, my heart rate started spiking, and I sensed that okay, this is not going to. First thing, before even going to the race, I was talking to Vijay also. I was thinking whether to drop off also because I'm not used to those temperatures. And consistently being outside in those temperatures for more than 2 hours is a big challenge for me. So I over layered myself, and I didn't even know at that time that those layers can be peeled off and thrown on the road. I didn't know that. So that's another thing I came to know as part of Dallas Marathon and also as part of Houston. Houston also was a little cold, but I have seen people coming up with layering in such a way that they just leave it on the road or something and then they go on. But yeah, it's all about the situations and accommodating. And at that moment, as I think I have listened to Coach Pala's multiple podcasts, wherein it's adjusting to circumstances. Everything will not be like what we think it should be. And so out of all this, I think, and one important thing, G, I just wanted to bring up as a low heart rate based training, as Vijay was also mentioning, that it's all about the feel. After you finish the race, the feel should be good. You should not feel like, at least my perspective, I should not feel I'm exhausted, I cannot move an inch. I don't want that feeling. So that's the reason. And our Coach Bala's podcast also helped me a lot listening through. And it's like maintaining your initial or controlled mile by mile, controlling your energy and release of your energy is very important to have a good feel at the end of the race. So that is what I have been enjoying nowadays, that after my race also, I still have fuel in my tank. I still feel energy left out, and I'm enjoying that process.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great to hear this story. Sid, I want to come to you, but I think I will lose some of the nuggets that are there. So I'm just going to kind of help summarize some of the points and then I'll come to you. Okay.
Sure thing.
So I think it's, if you just think about this, right? The journey that they talked about, there's so many learnings here. So first thing, I think from what I picked from Vijay, right, is there's a lot of things here is mental. It is not about physical. Today I feel good, I can run. Yes, great. You can do that. That's wonderful. But can you control what you want to do on the day you want to do and the moment you want to do? I think that, and hence a lot of this activity is beyond physical is mental. Correct? I think so. There's this one concept called command performance. So as to how you control your body and mind to bring the best when you want it to be the case, which is the race day in our context, right? So, and of course, if the weather and everything is great, then you really have the best, say, the PR kind of a performance. But even if it is not, like the rainy day that you had, Vijay, I very well remember that conversation, and I think. I was doing my long run the day you finished your 13 mile on your training day, and we had a conversation right there because we saw each other on the trail. But I think that is a very important skill, and it's not about just running, right? If you really think about it, that skill is very transferable for our day-to-day life. We all go have this big presentation to make or a big project reviewed happening and so on, and can we bring the best we have on that day? That's a very important skill to build, and of course running helps you do that. I think that's a very good point that you made, Vijay. Right? I just want to make sure that how running helps in that skill to build. I think that's very important that I want to pick on. Second thing is also goals in terms of race day. But during the course of the race day, you adjust and calibrate depending on what the reality is. I think that's an important thing to have as well, and not quote unquote be disappointed. Even if when I heard this Vijay tell the story, clearly 159 or sub 2 he did the previous week was great, aligned to his story. But yeah, the next day, yes, the run was good. I'm assuming you did more than 2 on that day, obviously, given the conditions and the weather. But that is not the goal. At that point, you kind of shift what is important for you depending on the course of the thing. In middle of the situation, you are actually finishing the race. That becomes your goal at that point, and learn from that experience. So thanks for bringing that out, because we all tend to talk about the good things and the best moments, and which is all great, but it's also important to kind of see how you are able to adapt to the situation. Second thing I wanted, Naresh, coming to you, what you said, the goal doesn't have to be fast. I think we all think that fast is good. Oh, when his PR is sub 2, it's awesome. Doesn't matter. If your PR is 220, 354, it doesn't matter. It is about what you want to achieve. And then and are you progressively getting better at whatever you want to achieve? That's all matters. Like, for example, many of us here do that. And I think one of podcast Bala talks about, brings that out as well, which is, you don't have to run fast. This goal, Naresh's goal, is about managing heart rate while running. And that's a very important thing. And even many of the fast runners will say that to run fast, most of your training has to be to run slow, so that your body is able to build those vessels and get more oxygen into the body even when you are running fast. Like, for example, again, I don't know the exact stat, Kipchoge, we all know him when he's the marathon record holder, the most number of marathon record holders. So 85% of his runs or miles, I think, are CP runs when he trains, right? So I think it's very important for us to have that perspective and not be concerned by the fact that people around you are running fast, or it doesn't matter. It's your goal, but sticking to your goal and how you stick and how you do it consistently. I think that's important. And the one point you mentioned, Naresh, about not when the temperature was 17 degrees, you thought that, man, I can't even run this race. I think the key thing here again is, unless it is really physically stopping you for some reason, just go out and try. Like, many days we don't feel like running, training. Weather is a concern, but we have a headache, we are not feeling well, bad day at work. Just wear your shoes and run the first mile. At the end of first mile, if you feel that you are not wanting to run, stop running. And I can assure you, once you run the first mile, you will 100% go and finish the distance you think you want to do that day. I think that's all it takes, just to try. And of course, folks used to hot weather, we all have done the mistake of wearing multiple layers. And again, the learning is, dress yourself for the second mile of the race and onwards. So don't dress yourself for the first mile of the race if it's a very cold. So first mile is going to be cold, so you're going to wear 3 layers. But after running a mile, you'll be warm enough that probably you need only 2 layers to run the rest of the race. But what you experienced is that you ran 3 layers, and of course you didn't throw your shirt out. But I think that's a lesson as well. So when you're in cold temperature or unfamiliar temperature, it doesn't have to be cold, it could be hot as well. Dress yourself for the second mile of the race and onwards, and think through as to what is appropriate for that. Yeah, first mile will be a bit uncomfortable, but that's okay. So Sid, again, coming back to you on your race day experiences, I know you're laughing at these 20 degrees and 15 degrees and 32 degrees conversation, given you are from New Jersey. Tell us a bit more about your race day experience.
Sure, sure. So, GV, I think every race is a different experience, and every race has, a new lesson that I have learned.
Sure.
But the one that stands out is the most recent marathon that I did in Washington DC in October 25 is the Marine Corps Marathon. It's organized by the Marines, so I mean you will see a lot of motivation around you, right? So the Marines are cheering for you. There are a lot of war veterans who are running, families of those who have fallen are running. In fact, if you're on mile 13 is where there are no spectators. On both sides of the course, you will find pictures of the fallen heroes. And running that mile 13, they call it the blue mile, right? It's a very emotional race, but at the same time there's a lot of motivation around, right? Because you see all of this around you. This being my fourth marathon, was obviously it was a little bit of a hilly, around 700 to 800 feet of elevation gain. So I had trained for the hills, on top of strength training, on top of electrolytes. But as they say, the real race begins at mile 20, right? Last 10 kilometers of the race are the most critical ones. At the same time, they are very unpredictable as well. I think I was going pretty well till mile 23, slated for a 3:35, 3:36 kind of finish. But
Wow.
the last 5 kilometers is when my left leg started cramping severely, right? And I was like, dude, what to do? Either to walk through the sidelines or, that's when the strong mindset kicked in, right? You spoke about the mental strength earlier, and I think that's what I was prepared for, right? No matter what happened, you have to get past the finish line, right? So even though the leg was cramping, I switched from a marathon pace to an easy pace. I lost 5 minutes, but I finished at 3:42. So that's one experience which I think I'm proud of personally, because even though the leg was cramping severely, I still went on my easy pace and got to the finish line. The other experience that I do want to talk about is I think this experience is something which I'll remember till my last day on this planet. Is very recently, I don't know whether you guys know, but we lost a fellow runner, right? A young runner who passed away, and a family member of that runner decided to run the Princeton Hilltop Marathon
Yes.
in his remembrance, right? I think Coach Bala kind of accumulate all of us, right? Whoever were there in the vicinity and told us, guys, come down to support the family member, right? And we were all there just to support her, right? Not to run the race, but just to support her. And it was a very emotional moment, but it was also inspirational, right? The family member running with minimal to no training, finishing a half marathon, which is around 800 feet over 13-mile course, that was phenomenal, right? And she could do it just because she was doing it for the person who passed away. But I think we were all very emotional at the end of the race, but that's one experience, which I will remember for a very long time. While it was emotional, it was also inspirational. Grief can inspire one is something that I experienced it firsthand. So these are two experiences, one personal, the other that I experienced to RSWB. At the same time, while again coming back to the RSWB part, while the group kind of motivates other runners to run, but I saw that this group has a heart through this particular experience, right? So that's one thing which I think RSWB stands out amongst all the other groups that we have in the country.
Thank you for your kind words, Sid. It was an unfortunate situation for the family and the broader RSWB family, if you may. But yes, I think it is amazing that everybody was able to support them and support the family in our best way. But I also want to take a minute to kind of talk about that experience of what you mentioned about the last 5 kilometers, how you managed. And I think for runners, every run you do, times you do in a slightly ideal conditions, and on the race day, there'll be a lot of things that will happen which you can't control. All that you can control is getting to the start line of the race day, if you may. But after that, it is about just going with the flow and adapting yourself. And I think Sid, 3:42 Sid, and that is 5 minutes slower than what you are training for. Unbelievable. I mean, I think first I was talking about the 1% and the 0.1%, and I don't know how many zeros I need to put after point to say where you are in your pace. Okay. But it's amazing. So congratulations on that race in particular. And I
Thank
think
you, JP.
yeah, and it's amazing that you've been able to adapt in that moment, because the last 10 kilometers, as you said, your body is so fatigued and broken down. Still, you are able to think and adjust the thing, right? I think that's great. So again, so if certain runs don't go as planned, even in your training, if somebody is having very pointed goals, it really doesn't matter. So I just wouldn't want all of us, I'm sure all of you will agree with me, that don't get obsess yourself with every run has to be perfect. to achieve the end goal. No, it is not. It is about coming in and putting that effort and moving forward and adapting yourself to the situation. Okay, so now great, wonderful stories, and thanks for sharing your experiences. I'm going to kind of ask this, while these are all the good things that you talked about, what has been the toughest thing or toughest element of the journey that you have had and that you are kind of that you have been able to face or even overcome, if you may? If you can talk a bit about that, and this time we'll start with maybe Naresh.
Yeah. So as I mentioned initially, GV, it's like when 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 I started, it was really hard. So every run that I go and every race was really tough in the initial 2 or 3 seasons. Then in one of the season, I think Coach Mo was the person who actually had a WhatsApp group at that time saying if we are interested, if anyone is interested on heart rate based training, I can provide some direction, is what he mentioned. So I joined that group at that time, and I came to know about something called as Extra Milist podcast through Coach Mo. And what I regularly do is I listen to any podcast, it's RHWB and Extra Milist most of the time. So these two podcasts I keep listening when I go for long runs. So I started training for heart rate based training. So it was really, really hard. The reason why I say that is because suddenly we run, but they say that there are some metrics that they say you have to run at this pace or this heart rate to have that low heart rate based training. So it was really hard. I incorporated walks along with runs. But one thing what I have seen is but I used to be consistent. That's the most important thing. I know it is hard walking. People used to see me running and suddenly they started seeing me walking sometimes, but I wanted to do it for myself. I wanted to be a better person with a better recovery and all that. So that's the reason I chose to go towards low heart rate based training. And the results, as I mentioned, I think the results are good that even after race days and after race, I feel energetic. I feel, and one good important thing I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention. It's like running is teaching us a lot. I never thought that I'll be eliminating sugar in my life, but running started helping me that it's all about gaining that willpower. If you want to do something, and running is helping me with that. But still, nutrition is another thing which I don't have control. I'm a big foodie. I love enjoying food, but yeah, that's another area where I'm trying to work on the nutrition. Yeah, JV, I think.
That's wonderful. I mean, I think what is again, I've tried low heart rate training, and believe me, it is very difficult because when you start, you might even have to walk because for the target heart rate that you have, even very slow running might take you beyond that heart rate depending on who you are. So it takes tremendous amount of diligence, resilience, and discipline to try that for a certain amount of time for your body to get used to it. And as I said, long-term benefits are amazing, but it's just great that you stuck with it, Naresh, and you believe in it. And I think that's something is very interesting to see. The other aspect I see is clearly it drives a lot of mental belief. See, when it comes to discipline, we all are disciplined for a certain amount of time, and then we kind of lose that thing and move back, and we up and down is what, at least that's what happens from what I've seen. But this gives you the belief that you can stick with something and now you can try similar things elsewhere, whether it's sugar or other things, and then stick with it. That's a great lesson, Naresh. Thanks for sharing that. Go ahead, Vijay.
Yeah, I think one critical thing again being in Dallas, right? Well, there are cold months, which not as cold as the rest of the country, but there are extremely hot days as well. So, maintaining your training schedule during that time is, I would say, I will term it as tough to do for everyone. Last season, I mean, I was always so RHWB gives you flexibility of summer season versus fall season. So I was picking up fall season earlier, saying that okay, you start late when the summer is almost over by end of August. But this last season, not the current, the previous season, I said let me now go back, go to the summer season. I want to see how it is, and I know it's going to be tough on your body, tough on your schedule. Specifically, your evenings are also 90s and 100s here, right? That's the problem with Dallas. So I would term that as a tough thing to deal, to maintain the consistency, sticking to your schedule in those temperatures was a tough thing to do, which kind of adjusted my pace. Again, my CP, if I say a particular number, that CP goes for a toss when you are in summer. So you have to, you have to get adjusted over your pace and, train through it. and adjust your schedule. You should be able to do early mornings, late nights, and things like that. So again, a lot of willpower to make sure maintain that consistency in those conditions. So I would term that as a tough thing to deal with, GV.
Yes, absolutely. I can vouch for it. I know we talked a lot about the cold, but hot is not easy to run. And I think people say that ideal temperatures between 40 and 60, but clearly Dallas and Houston, clearly there are times where the entire summer you don't get to that number at all, even late in the nights. So then you deal with it. But yeah, I can completely understand Vijay on that one. Okay. Yeah, Sid, I would like to hear your story.
So this was on things that I have been able to overcome, right, JV?
Yeah, right. Yes. Challenges that you faced.
So two things I would say. I mean, obviously it is not by design, but we all end up eating unhealthy stuff, right? There are parties happening, there is some or the other event, and we end up overeating or eating the not so good stuff and all that, right? But through running, I've realized that, I mean, obviously, if you overdo it, I can see it in my runs the next day, right, immediately. So natural in it there's been like this natural transformation where I have minimized, right? If I was eating like 8 unhealthy meals, right, maybe every Saturday Sunday of the month, I minimized it to 4, right? So eating the nutrition part has been a top priority for me. I think that's one thing that I've been able to overcome since my running journey has begun, because obviously, and eating the right thing, right? Eating the right carbohydrates, not the unhealthy carbohydrates, eating the right protein. All of this, I see how it has, improved my running style and the endurance and all of the longer benefits that I've reaped. The other thing that I have been able to overcome is my sleeping habit, right? Now, while we training helps us, get our running to a different level. But the most important thing is rest. When you catch at least 8 hours of sleep every day, you will see the difference in your runs the following day, right? So while and maybe an advice to everybody is that while we focus on sticking to the plan, right, clocking in those miles, those runs, those workouts, nutrition and sleep or the rest part are most important thing out here, right? When you put both of these things at play, that's when you'll see that your running is going to the next level.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
overall, I think, GV, those are two things that I have been able to overcome through my running journey. One is putting in some proper nutritional habits, good eating habits, so to speak, and then the rest, right? I have to catch in 7 to 8 hours a day, every day.
That's awesome. Great to hear that said. But I was thinking probably you will talk a bit about the cold as well, because I'm sure New Jersey finds a lot of uh, weather of what Vijay goes through, and
Sure, sure.
anything to share on from that perspective. Yeah.
Sure. So, but for the record, running in hot weather is more difficult than running in cold weather, right? That I have to give credit to Vijay and Naresh. Again, cold, the definition of cold is different for you guys and for us. This morning it was about 8 degrees, right? Still, I did my 10-miler long run. So that's
Just to
me.
be clear, we're talking about 8 degree Fahrenheit, right?
8 degrees Fahrenheit, yes, right. And I am pretty notorious. My coach keeps slagging me that, hey, are you in the right sense of mind of what, right? But that's me. I mean, again, you spoke about discipline and consistency, right? That's one thing that I take to heart, right? If there are particular runs aligned for a week, I have to do it, right? Be it whatever, rain, shine, or snow, I have to do it. Obviously, there are situations when it becomes unsafe, like there's a blizzard out there, it's unsafe, right? You cannot run by the blizzard is on. Or if it is 120 degrees, maybe not so much for Vijay or Naresh, but those are the only days when I switch to a treadmill, right? But I can maybe count those runs on my fingers, but otherwise all of it is outside. Two reasons, right? One is that, and which is what has helped me. One is obviously you have to stick to the plan, clock in those miles, which will help you in the long run. Second is the mental strength, right? Running in 8 degrees, 10 degrees Fahrenheit builds that mental strength. And that strength has helped me when I'm in difficult times in my race, right? Because the body is like, dude, you're prepared for it, you train for it, right? So just go for it. That's what the mind kind of steps in when things are not going so well, as I explained earlier.
Wonderful. Great points, right? So we see the element that I talk about here is while we give a set of scheduled runs and training and strength training and so on, but there's a lot that makes these things work, which are very important. Two important things that you talked about, said thanks for doing that, is nutrition and sleep. I think sleep is the most underrated thing. I think almost all of us are very busy with family, work, and add running to that. So it's very difficult to find that balance. I am great and very happy and inspiring. I'm trying to follow that as well from what you had mentioned, and many of us should, of finding making sleep a priority. Wonderful to hear. Second thing is
Vijay?
nutrition. Yes, adjusting to what you are eating, but also, Naresh, to your point, sometimes this level of running and physical fitness allows you to also eat more a few times, right? So it's okay, right? I think at the end of the day, you want to be happy
That's
as
right.
well. But clearly, this helps you kind of in driving that. And one point I just want to highlight from what Naresh mentioned, which is missed, is it's about not running and pushing to the point where you are done, right? I mean, I think the evolution you will also see through this process is that at the end of 2 mile run, you are like panting and whatever, and you are almost done. But now, after a few seasons, at the end of half marathon, you are still walking around and doing things. And I think that's different. That might not show in your numbers and PRs and whatever, but your body has evolved. And that is the bigger goal. I mean, I think running is a means to an end to have a happy, healthy life. That's kind of what we see. I know I kind of said at the beginning of the podcast that we will focus more on not give the common trait that has brought these three individuals together. Hope it has shined through the conversation, and I think the reason we brought Sid, Vijay, and Naresh together is because they have been very good at braving difficult situations and being extremely consistent in pursuing the goal that they had. I think that's the most important thing here. So Sid had a clear goal of increasing his cardio and running fast, and kind of he has evolved from 4:14 for a full marathon to what did you say, Sid? 3:42?
342. Yeah.
Oh, that's just amazing. I mean, again, good luck to you. I know you had mentioned that you want to qualify for Boston. All power to you, and I'm sure it's going to happen in a couple of seasons.
Sure. Thank you.
So, and Vijay, similarly, right? You had a goal of running fast, but you stuck through the cold and the hot and the heat weather, and you are able to stick to your numbers of what you had a goal for in 159, like you said, and lesser, and now 150 is your goal, and good luck with that. Naresh, thanks for bringing the difference, right? I think everybody thinks that, like as I said, hey, I have to run fast. Running fast need not be the goal. Your goal could be low heart rate, consistency, endurance, long-term fitness. You have believed in it and stuck to it. I think that's the most important thing, and I think that's a great example of what you've been able to bring. So one fun question, if you may. What is one bad habit you all have stopped because you've been running all these seasons from erstwhile? Or you can flip way of asking the question is maybe what would you have done with all this time, right? That if which you are spending on running if you are not doing the running that you are doing right now.
Well, I can go first. If I
Sure.
wouldn't have been running, I would have been partying, right? So this is all happening in the interest of the greater good, I would say.
Okay, no, that's fun. Okay. How about you, Naresh?
I would have been continuing eating uncontrolled pattern. So that has been my way of enjoying food. With running, I think as I last time also mentioned, running has taught me a lot on how we can have a better life with all that you can enjoy still. So yeah, and I just wanted to add one or two points, just to add on to what Sid mentioned. So I think I was Sid. I think I was reading some books. I started reading about running as well. So I have been hearing about four pillars, and as Sid mentioned, two of them are sleep and nutrition are very important, and the remaining two pillars, what I have been hearing a lot by elite runners is about consistency is the other one, controlling your stress is the fourth one. So all these four pillars are critical to be followed, is what I have heard. Yeah, definitely on sleep. I have started improving on sleep, and the stress also. I'm trying to learn how to manage stress. Uh, and consistency. Consistency is one good thing I have been following since the first season I have been with RSWB. So I have been consistently being there. The fourth one, which is nutrition, is a big challenge for me. But this season, I'm focusing mainly on nutrition as well, so that I can have I should not say performance, but wherever I am, I want to be a better person than what I was a couple of days back or a couple of months back.
Wonderful, Naresh. I think great ones. I think the four pillars I think resonates with all of us. So you said food, sleep, consistency, nutrition. No, not nutrition, consistency and stress.
Yes.
So I think
Stress.
so. No, great points. Thanks for sharing that with us. Vijay, how about you?
Yeah, I was thinking hard about it. I can't imagine maybe few more certifications or few more movies in front of the couch. I don't know what else I would have done, but I'm thankful that I'm into running, which has given me a purpose, right? Fitness being one of those objectives of your life, right? So, yes, I would say that I can't imagine life without running now that I've been running 5 seasons with RH.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing. Again, for all the new runners who are listening, I hope this is something that you've been able to see. But again, it's been an hour. Can you believe it? Again, I can go on for another hour talking to you guys. But again, I really want to thank each one of you for the time you've given us and sharing your experiences. It was filled with many, many, many insights that you had along your journey. And this message is for the new runners or people who are running for the first time or being a part of this season. Again, please just stick to the plan and do this consistently. And I think all the inputs that you heard from Sid, Vijay, and Naresh are very valid in your situation, and you can kind of adapt your program if you may to that extent. But more importantly, stay with it and remember that all three of them were in your shoes just probably a few seasons back. And I think so the journey is more important than the destination itself. And thank you, gentlemen, for giving your time and sharing your experiences.
Thank you, JV.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Jivi. Thank you.